Welcome to another episode of Paint a Portrait in 30 Minutes. This is the painting that we are going to create today. So buckle up and enjoy the ride. On the palette, we have pre-mixtures, only about 4 of them. So we have a generic skin tone, which is basically like a Zorn palette type mixture, or you can just mix any of the reds with the yellow and a little bit of a gray, and there you get that. This is a dark, warm-ish brown. This is going to be our dark, which is black and alizarin, and then we're going to have some grays, and then we're going to pick and choose out of the reds when we get into some of the more red colors. So this canvas has already been prepared with just a dark brown color. This is already wet and ready to go. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to use the skin tone. This brush is going to have its own function. So this is going to be an important part of the process. We're going to follow carefully down here, and this is going to give us the edge of the model's forehead. And this is going to give us the top. Less pressure makes this less dark, and we continue to model the form of the forehead. Very simple, just like that, like a little bit of like an egg shape for the top of the forehead there. Now we're going to walk our way down here, skip a little step there, and that's going to give us perhaps where the eyebrow is going to fit, and then put a little line right over here, and this is going to give us our glabella, and the eye is going to fit somewhere over there, so let's leave a gap for that. Now you can already see the finished painting on your left, so you can see where we're heading, and please use the painting as your reference and do not worry about perfectly copying a photograph. Okay, we're going to leave a little gap here on the bottom, and this is going to be the dark shape for the nose right about there, and a little bit more pressure to make this lighter, and let the brush move around freely, and you start to see a face begin to emerge. Less pressure makes it less dark. Now you see the face starting to emerge there. More pressure makes this lighter. That's the secret to this technique. Leave a gap here. The mouth is going to fit somewhere over there. More pressure over here, and this gives us the edge of the chin. Leave a gap there because that's where the mouth is going to fit. And you can see now that you can tell that the model is in 3/4 view closer to profile. And then just let it blend with the color that's already there. And maybe a little light for the neck. Leave a gap for the dark. Just like that. Now switch to the dark brush. And we're going to throw in some dark accents for the eyebrows, which are going to fit right up here. There's one eyebrow there. Another eyebrow here. More dark accents for the eyes. And let's say we'll put in a dark shape for the iris. Another dark shape over here. Just kind of a little dot to start that off. Dark accent for the bottom of the nose. Just like that. Now we're going to have a dark accent for where the lip is in shadow. Just like that. Now we're going to have the bottom of the chin. The bottom of the mouth, top plane of the chin. Right there. Now you see the face starting to emerge. Just throw in a dot for the tear duct, just like that. And use this brush now to mix with what's already on the canvas. This is going to give us the edge of the hairline. Now for these quick and easy 30-minute portraits, we're not going to worry about the background. We're going to just focus on the face. There's the dark shape for the hair. Most importantly, this shadow. Now you see that shadow start to emerge. Now we're going to switch to that reddish color that we had on the palette, and we're going to use it to create some color gradations. So let it mix with the paint that's already on there. That's the secret to this technique. Less pressure makes it less red. Just spin the brush around a little bit so that it creates a nice gradation here. A little bit underneath the lower eyelid. Same thing on the other side. Okay, now the side plane of the forehead right here. Just kind of a little triangle like that. Let it mix with the paint that's already on there. Like that. And now we're going to use the dark brush and mix directly on here. So this is the dark brush here, and this is the red brush, and we're going to let these blend together. Just like that, creates our gradations. Let this be darker as it approaches the shadow, like that. And now we are going to go back to the skin tone brush. And with the same mixture that we had before, we're going to add more paint now and create our lighter planes. 1, 2, and 3. We will unify this entire shape right on the edge of the nose. Now we'll use the dark brush to put a dark accent across the side of the face, like that. Which gives a little bit more contrast to the face. And now we will do our first mixture of color for the sclera, the white of the eye. So using the gray part of the palette, and the brush that was designated for that, we just add our little shape for the eyes, just like that. Now that we have that, we're going to go back to our mixture that we had for the skin tones, and we're going to add white and orange to it. So we are going to mix a little bit of color. So to get an orange, you're just going to use cadmium red and cadmium yellow. I'm going to mix those two together and add a little bit of white. Now, let's see if we have that orangey color. And we do. Now we're going to let these planes blend into that gray that we had before. Less pressure makes it less orangey. There's going to be light there for the nose. Light underneath of the nose. And again, this is to throw a touch of orangey color and let the grays kind of stay neutral. Now we're going to add a touch of red to that same brush. Now you see how we're going to start to build these planes. Side of the nose. Now a little bit more red. And this is going to give us our upper lip. We're going to use white and red to create a pink. And we just take it right from the palette. No need for any kind of super delicate mixtures. Now we're going to go back to the skin color, but maybe throw in a little bit of a greenish hue. And now we are going to build our brightest lights, which will create the form. So hold on for the ride here. We're going to start to add much more structure. And again, still utilizing the wet on wet technique. Because these colors are building on top of the already existing colors. Almost straight white. Let that blend a little bit off to the side. A little bit more light right there. Less pressure will make it less light. But now we are at the point where we want these colors to mix nice and smooth to create gradations effortlessly. And even up here, a little hint for the upper eyelid. Another hint of light up here. Switch to that reddish brush. Now this shadow tone is going to get a little more color with that reddish hue. While we have this brush, let's go ahead and soften the edge for the hairline. Go in with the dark. Now back to the skin tone. There should be a highlight on the nose. So there's a little highlight for the nose. Throw in a touch of pink. Maybe burnt sienna, cadmium red. So now we've broken our 4 zones. See how it started, now where we are? So we have added more planes. And don't concern yourself with the color mixtures. You can do this in black and white. You can do this in monochrome. Like I said, black and white is monochrome. You could do this in limited palette with just 4 colors. You can do this with 20, 22 colors if you want. Throw in a touch of light on the nose. So again, this is the secret to this technique, is knowing how the paint mixes. Don't concern yourself with the likeness. Don't worry if it looks exactly like mine. Don't concern yourself with that. Instead, focus on the paint handling. Now, of course, a touch of light up here. Not too much. Now, light on the upper eyelid. So this gives us the form for the upper eyelid. Just like that. A little bit more of that reddish orangey hue. And we're going to have a color change right here. And these colors are going to have to relate to the background in some way. So let's go ahead and go in with the black and alizarin. And we don't need to concern ourselves with the background color so much as what's around the face, so the hair. So with these sketches, you always want to have something for the hair and something for the neck, even if it's just a line like that. Now that we have this bright, let's just say deep red that's almost black in value, and throw in these darker accents for the eyes, and the darks can really make the lights pop. So let's go ahead and add that here. Can really make the lights pop. Tap it more of the red over here, just to add more depth to the lip. Something like that. Eyelash. Nice and simple portrait. Okay, so now the hair. Let's say the hair is just tied up in a bun like this. Just tie it up in a bun back there. We need not worry about the specifics. And this will give us an ear right in between the eye and the nose on a horizontal. This gives us the ear. Go in with the red brush, then the dark. So now we're just kind of having fun painting more elements into this composition. Going back now to the skin tone, we'll gray it up a little bit by letting it mix with these colors. Again, this is the secret of the wet on wet technique. And you can take all the time you need. You don't have to do this in 30 minutes. But it is fun to see what we can do in that short time frame. Light on the ear. Don't make this too bright though, so it'll have a tendency to stick out more than we want it to. Dark shape over here, back of the ear. Now we add more depth to the shadow, deepen the cast shadow a little bit. Go back to the dark red shape. Now you see the form start to get a little bit softer around the jaw. And this is where drawing with lines can help you. If you find that you're struggling with any of these shapes, go back to using lines. Now, lines will make the process take a lot longer, but if you struggle with the placement of anything, focus on the outlines. But today, we're not going to worry about outlines. Not at all. We'll push the dark. By adding more light, this pushes the dark further back. And what do you say we have some fun with the background? What do you say we just throw in a nice and dark shape to the background? It worked out all right in the neutral gray, but maybe throwing in this dark, and we gotta be careful not to lose our drawing. There. Maybe that dark can add more contrast to the side of the face. And this is what makes these 30-minute portraits so much fun, is we can just throw stuff in the background. Whatever we want. Suppose we wanted a little bit more for the shoulder, just a line here. Right, we can do that. Shoulder would meet up here. And I do mean a line because I will blur this out. More light on the neck. Right there. Like I said, I will blur it. So this creates a nice little vignette. Just a hint of something for the dark of the background there. And the hair is tied up in a bun up here. So 30 minutes is actually more time than you think. So we've got a lot done. Quite a lot done. Nearly finishing this thing. Let's switch to some smaller brushes to have a little more control. So more light up here. And on the other side. And what do you say we throw in a highlight? I want to use a little bit of lemon yellow. So remember, the palette started off with those 4 mixtures, and then we mixed onto that directly. A little bit of a light there. Lemon yellow. And maybe we'll use the same brush, the hint of alizarin, which is a very dark red, underneath. And no mineral spirits is used here, though you can if you want to. I just use the thickness of the paint on its own. And maybe a little more for the eyelid. Why not? We've got time. We've got plenty of time. Gives us a lot more depth to the eye. And we can paint an eye that looks like we spent a long time with a careful underpainting. Tell your client, if you're doing a commission portrait, tell them that, this took you 30 days. Careful drawing, careful lines, and I'm just kidding, right? That's not good to deceive. But just have fun with it. You won't imagine how much more efficient you can be when you utilize the layering method to its full advantage. Maybe some last little hints of color on the cheek. Don't concern yourself with the color. I mean it. Focus on the values. Let the color happen naturally. As long as you organize your palette ahead of time by just laying the paints out however you feel comfortable, the rest will take care of itself. And have many brushes available. As many brushes as you need. Don't waste time with having to clean them. Rather than cleaning one brush, just switch to another one. And again, you'll be so much more efficient. Don't worry about things like likeness. Likeness is nothing more than the confirmation of an accurate drawing. If likeness is what you concern yourself with, then spend an entire session just drawing light and shadow. But if you want to explore the limitless possibilities of alla prima painting in oil paint, then don't worry too much about the likeness. Let a likeness come to you and you enjoy it. Don't let it control you. Let's blend this shape out a little bit on the forehead. Just like that. Alrighty. So, let's say that is a finished painting. Let's go ahead and drop a signature right over here. And there you go. Remember, organize your palette ahead of time. Just 4 little pre-mixtures can make a huge difference. And layer with that light color for the skin tone, and then let that blend out as you add the dark accents for the eyebrows, and then ultimately building planes of the face, and then add a little bit of color here and there, and just have fun with this process. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Another 30-minute portrait painting exercise. Once again, if you like these videos, please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. As always, I wish you the very best, and I'll see you on the next one.